Okay, it is now 7:31 p.m. on January 1, 2025, and I am opening the public meeting of the Zoning Appeals Board. And I see that Mark White has just entered the meeting. And so when I call your name, please announce that you are here. Michael Toops.
Michael Toops here.
Stefano Caprara.
Stefano Caprara here.
Dan Stuntz.
Dan Stuntz here.
Sean McCormick.
Sean McCormick, present.
Mark White.
Mark White, present.
Okay, and Alec is present as well. And it is now 7:32 p.m. And looking over our agenda, we have item 1 is to review correspondence. Alec, did we get any correspondence?
No, you don't have any correspondence aside from a letter related to the agenda item later this evening. You do have 2 sets of minutes for approval in here as well.
Okay. Did anyone from the anyone representing the sign applicant, is anyone here present?
No, where that was not filed as an application before the board, they chose not to appear tonight. This is instigated by the building commissioner looking for some guidance from the ZBA.
Okay, so this is a meeting item, and the building inspector is asking us our opinion on some of the nebulous requirements for a sign, and I don't blame him. And I also am grateful that when he feels like he's stepping into a landmine, that he sends it to us first so he doesn't get submarined by it later. So Alec, can you just tell us what the building inspector's concerns were with the application, and can everybody see it in the Dropbox, the sign? Okay.
So in reviewing the application he received for building permit of a sign, specifically a revised sign to replace the existing wall-mounted sign for Two Friends Chocolate with a sign like in size, the applicant proposed changing the coloring and the lettering on the signage. That led Ed to the bylaw where he referred to the term complement. Specifically, your bylaw 6.5.3 requires that signs complement the facade of the building or the building materials. The term complement gave Ed some nervousness, let's call it, for lack of a better term, where complementary, the bigger word there, could be interpreted differently by different people. In other cases we've had further down the street, he's ruled that because the letters match the facade of the building and the root color matches the trucks that they have on site, that's complementary. But then that was questioned by numerous members of the public, and vice versa. Sometimes it's something that is more of a contradictory color scheme, but even in Acton Boxborough, we say that the gold complements the blue in the blue and gold there. So it leaves this real ambiguity where he doesn't feel as confident as he normally would enforcing this. Now, the sign itself is under the jurisdiction of the building commissioner. There's fairly clear guidelines on the size and how to interpret that, but this term complement really throws up a roadblock for him. And so his request was to bring it before the ZBA to get your input, your weigh in on it. He would like to present unified with the ZBA on how you would typically enforce these things to save applicants the time and energy of potentially having to go back through an appeal at a later date and time. And then secondarily to that, I will begin working with the planning board over the late spring and early summer, likely to present a revised sign bylaw that better addresses things and put forward some of the conclusions we've made on the enforcement side of that.
So how do we want to approach this? Do we want to just go straight ahead and answer the question? Or do we want to have any discussion on what complementary is? Complementary is obviously in the eye of the beholder, and that's why he's having a hard time, and why he gets flack from the public when he thinks it's complementary and, somebody else doesn't. So Anybody have any thoughts on the sign itself? Have you seen it? It looks like it's a two-color sign. It's vinyl. And it's presented on the plan as if it's going above the sign panel that all the other signs are on. But Alec just told me that that is actually going to go down on the sign panel where all the other signs are going. So that was my only concern, was that it was not going to be in alignment, because there is a section that says when you have multiple signs on a building that they be in the same thing. And I wasn't looking for raised hands, but it looks like Michael is first. So Michael, go ahead.
A couple things. One, yeah, I agree that if that sign is actually up, it probably doesn't follow if in fact it's going down on the facade. It's not clear from the package that that is in fact the case. I'm not throw a red herring, well, not red herring, but an issue. The term in the bylaws is complement, because if you actually use the word complementary, you're actually talking about colors that are opposite on the color wheel, and I'm sure that's not where we were going with this originally. So just as a side discussion. The other item is, I know we had discussions, oh God, centuries ago, with town council, where we got into big arguments over how far the ZBA could go in specifying signage details due to their concern for First Amendment rights. And I'm not sure there was ever a good conclusion to that discussion. So I don't know. I'm throwing two hand grenades into the topic without any help. Over.
The most recent court case had more to do with regulating particular types of speech for different durations of time. Like, if you know, in other words, you'd have to read the intent on the sign. But I don't think that that's, I don't know that that's relevant for Ed's question on this one, though. I think Ed is just asking does this complement, and Michael's point about the complementary colors is priceless, but the other way of reading complement is it enhances the building. So it's another way.
I think that was the meaning of the term. I just was saying that throwing around the word complementary has a different meaning than the word complement in this case. I believe.
Gotcha. Stefano, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I would just confirm if the sign is indeed on that panel, then I have no concern. I feel it's just as complimentary, or it complements the building just as much as any other sign on that building. So
I tend to agree. It's
yeah, I
the
just
colors
think
are muted as well as the paint job on the building. I don't see necessarily a problem. Mark?
I agree with Stefano. The problem, so there's two issues here. One is this specific application, and I think it's easy. If I agree with Stefano and others do, then we can pretty much put this to bed, because we decided it was so. I think the problem is the way the bylaw is written. The building inspector feels uncomfortable making those type of decisions on his own, and I understand that. And I think it'd be nice if we could set some type of, maybe use a better word, because I went and I looked up the word complementary in the dictionary, or complement in the dictionary, and it's kind of a, even when you look it up in the dictionary, it's still kind of subjective. And so I don't think the idea is, maybe it was, maybe the original intent was to leave this for future boards to decide what they want to see and what they don't in a very unproscribed manner. But it sure makes it hard for a zoning enforcement official to make a decision based on that type of subjective. So, do we want to leave this a subjective thing for future generations to kind of hash out the way we're going to do it right now? Or do we want to try and, change the wording to say something that's somebody can rely upon when they.
Here's the problem. The problem is that we are a board and we deliberate and we do our deliberation in public, and anybody can see how we arrive at our conclusions, and there's a record produced and they can take it to court if they want to. But when the building inspector, he is making this decision on his own in the back room, and he is having to parse this thing on his own by himself. And then he's subject to scrutiny and ridicule by everyone around him, the applicant, the neighbors, I think I don't have a problem whatsoever with a board being given these kind of abstract concepts, but I think it's a hard thing for a building inspector to deal with. Sean.
Thanks, Mark. Whether we want to change this section of the bylaw in the future is something worth talking about. But if the question is, how do we interpret the existing language? I think the answer is, well, we interpret words that are not defined in the bylaw in accordance with their ordinary usage. And here, complement means something that looks good with. And yeah, it's vague, it's subjective, but that's the language that town meeting chose. So I think that we can say, we interpret it according to its regular dictionary definition, and that definition is, something that goes with or looks good with. And I think that's our job.
I agree. I agree. Did somebody else have their hand up for a second? No? Does anybody want to just close this and just make a motion? Because I think it sounds like everybody's kind of in agreement that this sign does complement the building. Would someone like to make a motion that we, the board, believe that this sign does complement the property and the adjacent businesses, or whatever language you want to put in? Sean, go ahead. No? Okay.
So moved.
Okay, Alec, can you just kind of translate that word salad into something that would make sense?
Well, you got to get a second there.
Oh, good point. Is there a second? I was way jumping the gun. Sorry about that. And I'm not hearing a second, so we're not ready. Okay. Sean.
Mark, can I just understand what was the exact question that was asked of us? Was it to interpret the word, or was it to opine on the sign?
That's a great question. I think we need to have Alec answer that, because the question's coming from Ed and it's not clearly defined in anything written here. Alec, you want to tell us?
Yes, so Ed was looking for, if you're willing to do so, a definition for complement, or a way to interpret complement in the interim. And then in the long term, the intent is for us to work with the planning board to bring forward more specific language, or alternatively, and maybe simultaneously, work with the design review board to close out their design guidelines, which would likely have a similar effect.
Okay, so as Sean stated earlier, typically if there isn't a special definition provided and none is required by the context of the passage, then ordinary meanings apply. And so it is kind of fair game to just Google and get Webster's, one of the definitions of complement that does work. So we can bring that one of those up and see if it means something to us. So are we going to use complement? Is that what the way the word is used in the bylaw?
That's the way the word's used in the bylaw. And
Okay.
So Miriam's definition is something that fills up, completes, or makes better or perfect. That's Miriam. Try.
Okay. Do we want to just take that and then maybe expand on it a little bit and say, at a high level, I mean, it needs to It needs to work well with the existing structure and signage, something to that effect.
I don't think we need to overcomplicate this. I think the building inspector is just asking us for guidance as to whether we think it's complementary. That would cover his tail, and then, so,
Mark, I thought that as well. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Alec just said the opposite. He just said that he was looking for a functioning definition of the word as it would apply to this situation. So I think we have to maybe do both. Maybe say the sign looks good, and here's what we think. Here's how.
That would then mean that what we're expecting then to happen after that is that the exact opposite of what we said that we were here for in the first place is now he's going to make the determination based upon the definition that we give him in the future of what. So the question is, do we want to keep it here where we might think it belongs, or we would want to take that definition, give it to him and say, you use this definition in the future?
I think that's what he's asking for, because he didn't deny. So this isn't we don't have jurisdiction to do anything except he's asking us our opinion. So
I'd give him the opinion, not the definition.
Okay. What is
even though that's what he's asking for. See what I'm saying? That keeps him coming back to us in the next cases. You see what I mean? If you give him the definition and say, you figure it out from this definition, then from now on, he won't be calling us when he's got a question. And if we don't want him to talk to us when he's got a question, then give him the definition. So it's kind of he's asking which path to follow.
I see your point. I don't disagree. I mean, I think it's a slippery slope that he has to climb and having the ability to come back to us when he's feeling uncomfortable about a sign.
I think for all the reasons that you gave, Mark, I actually support what he just did, which is bring it to us and then we give it back to him, because this is a public hearing. The applicant would have had an opportunity to attend if they wish. The public would have had an opportunity to attend if they wish. The whole thing would have been a decision that was made publicly with input. Just because nobody showed up doesn't mean that it wouldn't be helpful if it was something more contentious. So I kind of like what the process that just took place. That's all.
Michael.
Audio,
Michael. Still can't hear you. Sorry.
Michael, you get no audio, but you're enabled. So your mic must be out or something.
Send us a chat.
You don't have the chat.
Try. Is this better?
There you are.
There we go.
Are we there now?
Yep.
Okay, it pulled up the wrong. I don't usually use this computer for the meetings, but for some reason the other computer completely dropped the connection and couldn't get back on. Couldn't even get to the town website. I guess what I struggle with is I don't see how, for something this subjective, anybody can come up with a definition of what it means, to complement or be consistent or whatever. Since there's so many ways to do a sign, I know there was another sign we had before us a while back that some people argue it doesn't complement anything, and other people said it was fine. So I don't know. I don't know how to give guidance to the town official to be able to make a determination that everybody would be happy with and would think that is. I don't know how to make it non-subjective. So as much as I hate to say so, I like Mark's suggestion of forcing it back to a public meeting so you at least have that on the record. But I hate forcing more public meetings for things that, may or may not really need them. I guess I'm struggling with this. Over.
Ron.
So, the way our bylaw is written, it does vest the initial judgment call, like discretionary decision-making and review with the building inspector. So I think the best thing we can do is say, look, we read this language as having, its regular meaning, which means, to enhance or to improve or to go with. And it's really the building inspector's call in the first instance. And yes, it's discretionary. It's there's a lot of subjectivity to it. And like if the inspector issues a sign permit and a person aggrieved by his decision has a right to come to us and then we get to second guess it. It seems to me like a sign, a little sign on a building. Like if we can avoid a public hearing on it, like that's the way to go. I mean, these things should be handled administratively, unless it's a sort of. I mean, because if the building inspector is like, yeah, I don't know, this is a close call, then I think we all know, like, it's got to be pretty out there, right, to be a close call. In which case, come to us.
So I think maybe you're suggesting that we do both. We just say, here's what we think. We think you need to make these decisions, but if you think the decision is going to land you in hot water because it's too hard to parse, then come and ask for some free advice. I mean, I think we could have it both ways with them. We could say, here, this is ordinary meanings apply, do your best, but if you think that this thing's going to get you into trouble, then tell the people to come to us because it's too unclear, maybe. I'm just throwing that out there. Michael.
Refresh my memory, but do all signs actually require a ZBA hearing, or are we saying that this is a change to a sign that doesn't require? Because I would think changing the lettering on a sign would actually require an amendment to a sign permit if that's required. I don't know if that's required for signs on building fascias.
I think it's just freestanding signs is how I read the bylaw. But
okay, it's been a while. I couldn't remember if it applied to just freestanding or to all signs.
It's freestanding signs and all signs within the town center district.
Oh, okay, it's by district. Okay, I couldn't remember which things were applicable. So that was my question. Over.
Mark.
So if we did it both ways, I think that's probably sensible. So I want to encourage him to come back. But if we didn't have to talk about the two issues, if we were only just talking about, well, what do you think? We would have been done 5 minutes, 10 minutes ago. So I think sending forward the plain language thought and then waiting to see what happens. But again, when you bring it to him, Alec, you say, look, if you got any qualms about it, bring it before the board, and in 5 minutes, they'll make a decision or not. In which case, then we might have to have a hearing or whatever, whatever we decide goes from there. But I think we can dispense with something like this pretty quickly if we don't have to talk about the underlying theories behind it. That's all.
And on the flip side, if someone has a complaint about a sign that he has issued a permit for, that's what the appeal process is for. Right. And we should make those regular and often. If someone's complaining, here's the application. Come in and voice your concern at the ZBA. And Ed shouldn't feel bad when he's, they're asking him what's his favorite color. Whether, like, how do he shouldn't feel bad if somebody else said, I like purple more than blue or whatever. So, all right. So how do you want to do this, Alec? You want to just take informal guidance and kind of memorialize it yourself to Ed? Is that going to be acceptable, or do you want us to give us, strict verbiage, like something that we vote on?
No, I think it was pretty clear cut. Present to him the plain dictionary definition of compliment. Advise that he refer to this as opposed to griping over specific color choices, but do his best judgment and come back to the board in individual cases if he feels he needs additional guidance.
Right. Does that work with the rest of the board?
Yep.
And we'll just have that be our informal guidance, and we'll just leave it at that.
Then I rescind my motion.
Cool. Okay, so pulling up the agenda. So that was easy. Update on rules and regs. I don't know. I just talked to Alec before the meeting and said that, we're going to send out another copy just in case. If you guys, I'd really like your input on it. Anything you guys can do to try and put your thumbprint on these rules. These are your rules. They're not Stowe's rules. They're not my rules. They're this board's rules. So you guys gotta make sure that they work with your sensibilities, and we can discuss it at a meeting. So, anybody have any comments they want to make on the draft rules right now? I don't have anything new to discuss on it, but anybody?
Mark, I think I think from what we talked about beforehand too, it's best too that I circulate it back around, remind everyone this is the most recent draft, and take it from there.
Okay, awesome. Any new business that anyone wants to bring up?
We got minutes.
Oh, minutes. Yeah. Thank you. Let's see here. Forgot about the minutes. Alec, would you mind bringing up November 19th, 2024?
Yep, it is on screen when you're ready.
Okay. So these are the minutes. Does anybody have any revisions they'd like to make to these minutes? I'm hearing none. Does anybody, would anybody like to make a motion to approve these minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes of November 19th, 2024.
So motioned and second. Any discussion about the minutes? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Stefano Caprara.
Stefano Caprara, aye.
Sean McCormick.
McCormick, aye.
Mark White.
White eye.
Michael Toops.
Michael Toops, aye.
Than.
I'm going to abstain. I wasn't there. So.
Okay. And Mark
And
Barber. I may not have been there. No, I was.
Alternate. No.
Okay, so can we get the next batch?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of December 10th, 2024.
There a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Anybody want to make a revision? Okay, I'm hearing none, so I'm going to take a roll call vote. Stefano Caprara.
Stefano Caprara, aye.
Sean McCormick.
McCormick, aye.
Mark White.
White eye.
Michael Toops.
Michael Toops, aye.
Dan Stunts.
I'm going to also pass on this one.
Okay, and Mark Barbadoro, aye. Is there any new business anybody would like to bring up? Any concerns? We can't.
I have something for Alec at the end after we've closed it.
Oh, okay. So that wouldn't be part of the ZBA meeting.
No.
Okay.
I got one thing to just kind of throw out there is in those last minutes that we just approved, there was some discussion as to whether the use table footnotes were messed up. Alec went through it. They weren't as messed up as we thought they were. They were fully messed up in a couple of spots where things were there that just got lost in the shuffle between the old and the new. So I just want you guys to know that that kind of has been addressed, and it's going to be on the is it the special town meeting, Alec? Are we going to put that? I think so, yes.
That's correct.
So we're going to get those fixes in, and then hopefully in the next year we can move on to more rather than, and I'm saying this is from the planning board viewpoint. We still keep finding things about our bylaw that we don't like. And, just even like this language that we just talked about tonight. So, I mean, Alec, I hope you're keeping the list, and And so basically the ZBA might want to come back at some point in time in the next year, because I think the next iteration is going to be more about things that need to be changed, not things that need to be fixed that didn't come through properly. These were all meant to be insubstantial changes in the last zoning rewrite. And so now, in a way, because we've had to fix the things that didn't get fixed in the first iteration, now we're into the second year. And so it's given us more time, I guess, to kind of be able to point at things that need to be changed in the bylaw. That requires, that's harder to make substantive changes. So, when Mark's talking about rules and regs, it's hard enough for us to get the rules and regs done without having to push forward changes to the zoning bylaw. But if you push them to the planning board is going to try and work to get that done. So somewhere along the way, you guys need to, when we trip on stuff, you need to bubble it up to Alex so it comes up on a list when we talk about zoning changes for the next year. That's all.
And also, I went to a couple. I didn't go to all of the zoning meetings that the planning board had, but I did go to a few of them, and I had an institutional memory that others on the board had forgotten some of the history of what took place, and it's useful to have that history there. So you guys, if you'd like, when those planning board meetings are happening, if you have time and you have an interest to actually go to those meetings, because you might bring up something that nobody else but you knows about or remembers that took place, or you read something in the bylaw that nobody else has been thinking about, and it's always helpful to have that information brought to the table before they go to town meeting and change things and potentially make things worse, not better, or better, not worse. So anyway, that's all I got. So do you guys want to get the hell out of here? Yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none. Stefano Caprera.
Aye.
Dan Stunts, and don't abstain this time.
Stunts, aye.
Sean McCormick.
Orwick, aye.
Mark White.
White eye.
Michael Toops.
Michael Toops, aye.
And Mark Barbadoro, aye. Thanks a lot, Alec, and thanks, guys.